Hi, this is Mr. Payton. Welcome to the Science of Everything, episode 15. One of the most underrated scientists in our history is the next person I'm going to talk about. He was an inventor, an agricultural scientist, a botanist, but mostly he was an inspiration. George Washington Carver was one of the most influential scientists, inventors, innovators of our time. He was recruited by a gentleman of the name of Booker T. Washington, who founded the Tuskegee Institute. This was a big deal back in those days because Carver was a very well-trained, very bright, and very innovative person. And so he had a number of choices. But when the opportunity came for him to give back to his own people and to an institution that focused on trying to advance people of color, which was rare back in his time, we're talking the late 1800s into the early 1900s, Carver couldn't resist. Now, he and Booker T. Washington worked together to try to get the science program up to speed. Carver's area of expertise was agriculture, particularly improving the soil, teaching individuals how to replant and how to improve the soil so that they could not only grow healthy crops, but he taught these people how to make the land able to continue to produce crops, which was a huge deal. If you think about the way things were back then, there was no Walmart, there was no Fry's to go to. So being able to plant crops was important. Being able to plant crops that could continue to recycle and be reused because the land was so rich and the land was so fertile was a game changer. Many of the people back in that time were only able to grow one crop at a time because they just didn't have the science or the understanding on why it was that the ground they had or the nutrients they were putting into the soil weren't reproducing more crops. And Carver was very inspirational in that. Back in the South during this time, there were certain things that could and couldn't be grown, and he taught them there were so many more things that were possible. Most of us know the name George Washington Carver as the inventor of peanut butter and many uses for the peanut, which is absolutely true. But to say that he invented peanut butter and nothing else would be a gross understatement to his contributions to, again, botany and agricultural science. He was such an inspirational figure that one of the greatest thinkers, salesmen, innovators of our time, Henry Ford, called him his friend and regularly spoke with Carver. If you understand how great people think, they're not intimidated by other great people. So just imagine Henry Ford. I mean, this is someone who was of great wealth, of great stature. He happened to be a different color than George Washington Carver, and he had no second guesses about going down to Alabama and spending time talking to Carver. Even though they weren't in the same fields, Ford thought so much of Carver's way of thinking, his way of innovating, that he saw value in just having regular conversations with this genius of a man because he thought so much outside of the box. I've been inspired by George Washington Carver myself as a young man and as an educator, as a thinker, as an innovator myself. It's always, it gives me a sense of place. It gives me a sense of inspiration, obviously, but it also gives me a sense of responsibility. Whenever I get stuck or feel like maybe I'm kind of at my wit's end or maybe I've done as much as I can, I think back to people like Carver like Booker T. Washington, even people like Henry Ford, and I just think to myself, gosh, you know, those guys never stopped coming up with ideas. They never stopped trying to reach their goals and inspire the groups that they were trying to inspire. For me, it's young people. You know, I've spent most of my life, whether it's been coaching, counseling, or teaching, and trying to inspire young people. And so whenever I feel like I've kind of exhausted all of my ideas and gotten as far as I can go, I go back and read and look at what those people did and remind myself that there's more to do. And so I hope that you got something out of this piece on George Washington Carver. I hope that you continue to push to be great and that you are inspired by whoever or whatever inspires you in the fields of your endeavor. I thank you for your time and hope that this video had some value to you. Have a great weekend.